Previously, Reiner was cursed with the Alpha Stigma power that allowed him to copy any magic he sees. Sounds like a cheat code, but he couldn't control it and attacked everyone when it awakened. This got him locked up and hated despite saving lives. But his friend who became king decided Reiner was too useful to rot in a cell, so he freed the guy and sent him on a mission to collect powerful relics that could change the fate of the world alongside a deadly and unhinged babysitter named Ferris. Catch the previous parts below. This next part is even crazier. Reiner and Ferris busted into a Nelfin fortress and wiped out all the guards, leaving them scattered all over the place like dead cockroaches. The duo headed straight to the treasure room to find the hero's relic that was suspected to be in the vault. Ferris held the professional napper at knife point to force him to rummage through the chests to find the artifact. All they found were records of tax evasion, which would have been a goldmine for the IRS, but it was useless to the duo. Ferris was about to cut Reiner down for his failure, but the lazy waste of space recalled that there was a relic around the area they camped at the previous night. He didn't tell her because he suspected that the hero's sword was buried, and he couldn't be bothered digging through 1,000 years of dirt to retrieve it. Currently, it was a better fate than losing his life. The couple's attention was drawn to the presence that was watching them. The siblings Sui and Ku stepped out also looking for treasure. Ku knew that the duo would be tough opponents from one glance. The siblings rushed the chests as soon as they saw an opening and started aggressively looking through them. They soon realized that there wasn't anything of note in them and accused Reiner of taking the good stuff. Ferris knocked the blabbermouth down because he almost revealed the location of the other artifact as he tried to clear his name. She informed the siblings that they were secret investigators on a mission from the king of Nelfa. Ku told her brother that they were leaving, but she didn't believe their story. Meanwhile, Milk had a dream which revealed that she and Reiner were both raised at the Hunger Games-style military orphanage. She only survived the lethal tests because he protected her. She had never forgotten the support he gave her. She joined her team the following morning for breakfast. They discussed the importance of capturing Reiner and Ferris since the secrets of Roland's magic could be leaked through them. Milk started to tear up after tasting the delicious food. The whole setup was the complete opposite of the childhood she had. Their meal was interrupted when Sui and Ku came to inform them of their encounter with a strange duo. The siblings heard that Milk was looking for some taboo breakers, and Ku suspected them. Milk and her unit tracked down their targets based on that information. She concluded that Ferris was working Reiner like a slave, as they watched him dig while she chilled. Milk was a walking example of conflict of interest. Her mission was to apprehend the duo, but she felt like she had to save Reiner from Ferris and win his love. She forged a plan to take Ferris out, but Reiner blocked her lightning attack while Ferris swiftly beat down the rest of the crew. They tied up the unit, and it was clear that Reiner didn't know who she was, so she told him that they were graduates of the orphanage. She also disclosed his childhood promise to marry her. Milk clearly took it to heart, as she wanted him to fulfill it after all those years. Ferris thought that Sleeping Champion had corrupted the lady to make her utter such statements. Reiner wasn't a commitment kind of guy. He just wanted to get back to work digging, so he and Ferris left the unit. The unmotivated fool eventually found a dagger and confirmed it to be the relic. Around the same time, a Nelfin patrol squad were in the area. Milk's men saw them first and suggested they shout for help. They had all the relevant paperwork authorizing them to be in the area. Milk suspected that they might be going to capture Reiner, so she shouted to draw his attention to the danger. It worked because the duo rushed to the place and begun to engage the army. Reiner didn't have the heart to abandon Milk and her men. Ferris let him know that it would be difficult to protect them while fighting against such a large squad. She pressured Reiner to use the hero's relic they just found. The guy didn't know how it worked. He threw it like a grenade at the start of a Call of Duty team deathmatch. It activated as soon as it hit the floor. Everyone watched in terror as a dragon emerged from the ground. The Nelfin army retreated immediately. Ferris and Reiner already knew how OP a wild relic was, so they just quietly left it to go on a rampage. Milk thought it was the worst way to deal with the situation, but they couldn't do anything to stop it, so they also escaped. She felt guilty for letting her feelings get in the way of the mission and apologized for putting her men in danger. These guys understood her conflicting feelings and were ready to support her as she made her mind on whether to take Reiner to the bedroom after cuffing him or to the jail cell.
Why not both?
What do you mean by that?
Easy there, Editor Slime, you freak. I'll have to keep an eye on you. Back at the Roland Kingdom, Sion went to visit Fiole's grave. He still regretted not being able to protect his subordinate. Fiole's sister Elsina joined the king and assured him that her brother loved serving him. She wanted to honor his legacy and also offered her services to Sion. Miran met them as they returned to the carriage and informed the king that nobles from the vassal state of Istanbul had started a revolt. Cyan held a war council at a loyal noble's castle that was close to the action. The king proved that he was competent because he already knew the leader of the revolt. It was Noah, who was the only daughter of the old king of Istanbul. Moran gave a detailed briefing on the information he had gathered so far. The rebels numbered 50,000 soldiers. The nobles in the high-risk areas refused to evacuate, even though it would soon turn into a battlefield. Moran guessed they had secrets they wanted to protect. They were allowed to stay. Moran offered to lead an army to suppress the revolt. Cyan rejected the offer and placed Clough in charge of dealing with the traitors. Moran was ordered to continue gathering and distributing the intel needed to win the battle. Clough didn't trust Moran in such an important position, but the king's orders were final. After the meeting, Moran tried to express his disappointment for not being put in charge of stamping out the rats. Cyan accused Moran of sparking the revolt so that they could further smoke out more members of the anti-king faction. Moran neither confirmed nor denied his involvement. Cyan told him to follow the orders he gave at the meeting. Meanwhile, at the Istanbul fortress, Noah doubted her readiness to lead the revolt, but her mentor named Salawel assured her that she was a better candidate than her father, since he surrendered Istanbul for his safety. He also told her that the nobles were behind her. She wanted to create a kingdom where people smiled and wondered if this war would achieve this. She steeled her resolve before facing the nobles that backed her. The battle between the two kingdoms raged on. Clough wanted to keep the casualties to a minimum, so he targeted the enemy's commander in each battle and convinced the remaining to surrender. Clough found himself in front of the fortress after many victories. Salawel sent a letter threatening to eliminate their own citizens if the Roland army didn't retreat and release all their war prisoners. Noah was not comfortable using their subjects in such a foul manner just because they knew that Cyan would retreat. She realized that she was getting used as a puppet leader this whole time. A sudden attack from an unknown Roland force triggered Salawel to suggest they start the executions. Clough knew this attack was Moran's doing. All the while, the princess decided to take control of the situation and use herself as collateral instead. The other nobles were willing to go with her, but she rejected their sacrifice. Moran snuck into the meeting and started to attack the traitorous nobles. Salawel escaped to the throne room with Noah. The mentor revealed his intentions now that they were cornered. He originally wanted to take over the kingdom by marrying Noah. However, he had to put the current plan into motion when Istanbul fell to Roland. He wanted to make Noah look like a rebel and present himself as the hero who defeated her to save the kingdom. Noah was livid by his betrayal and tried to attack him, but he disarmed her. He turned the blade on her, but Moran eliminated Salawel before he could reach the princess. Moran revealed that he was working with Salawel, but the mentor seemed to have gone off script for his own gains. Moran confessed to everything and promised that Cyan had nothing to do with it. All he had to do now was to finish off the princess and the civilians so that he could create his own narrative. Clough interjected and wasn't going to allow Moran to execute his dark plan. He was ready to face the lieutenant colonel depending on how he explained himself. Noah didn't want any more bloodshed and promised to convince her people to follow the kingdom of Roland. She was aware that some would see her as a sellout, but she wanted her people to be safe. Moran stood down and left. Noah thanked Clough for saving her. Cyan got words of their victory, but he felt bad for not punishing Moran for his immoral actions. He knew deep down that it helped strengthen his position. Iris interrupted his pondering to present her next report. Somehow the king understood the pictures and was astonished that the hero relics actually existed. Miller joined them to present his own report. Cyan couldn't believe what he was reading. He asked Iris to return to Reiner and Ferris immediately to deliver some news. All the while, Reiner almost fainted when he saw the number of rice dumplings Ferris had ordered. Iris got to the duo by the following morning, but got knocked out by Ferris for being too hyper. The older sister retrieved the rice dumplings Iris brought from her favorite shop. She quickly unboxed them and started to eat, but the addict didn't realize that she had accidentally threw out the king's letter along with the food packaging. The girl later woke up from her forced nap and told the duo that Cyan wanted her to deliver a letter to them with Amazon Prime speed. She looked through her sack but couldn't find the letter. Reiner asked her to summarize the message. The girl had the memory of the average doomscroller. She recalled that it had something to do with a dragon disappearing. Reiner and Ferris knew that the king was referring to the dragon they summoned, and assumed that he wanted them to investigate it. Iris couldn't remember one important detail, but the tag team assured her that they would figure things out when they got to the site. Soon after they left, the innkeeper found the letter as she was taking out the trash. The nosy lady read it. Cyan was rather warning them not to go near the forest to search for the relic. The villagers in that area had been slain, and the disappearance of the dragon was unsettling. Unfortunately, Reiner and Ferris had already arrived at the Forbidden Forest. They soon came across the remains of the villagers, and some soldiers spread around the place. The oddest part was that there was no natural ketchup on the scene, which explained the lack of a stench. They also spotted Sui and Ku in a nearby crater. Both parties recognized each other. Ferris realized that something wasn't right when she noticed the dagger relic around Sui's waist. The siblings confessed that they were also looking for the relic at the fortress. They used milk to help track the duo. Luckily, Reiner abandoned the artifact for them to retrieve. It was clear to the lazy mage that the siblings were the ones responsible for the mass slayings. They didn't want the population to know about the existence of the hero relics. Their obsession with relics was worse than Gollum with his precious ring. Ferris already knew the country the brother and sister were affiliated with based on their hunt for the artifacts. Sui started to cast an attack spell as soon as Reiner made a move, but he quickly canceled it when he realized that the slacker was an alpha stigma bearer. It was too late because Reiner had copied it and unleashed the fire spell. Ku nullified it with an ice slice with her scythe and knocked Ferris back when she tried to attack. Reiner used himself as a cushion to break his partner's fall, but she accused him of saving her for unholy reasons. Reiner confirmed that the scythe was a hero's artifact, and it was a dangerous one which increased the physical capabilities of the wielder. The ice power of the weapon was the reason why the people they eliminated didn't bleed. Sui got excited when he realized that Reiner had the cursed eyes. The lazy mage was confused when Sui spoke about crystallizing it. He pulled out a gem from his pouch, surprised that Reiner didn't know what he was talking about. The older brother first wanted to show the duo how to use the dagger they abandoned. Sui stabbed himself with the weapon, and his arm transformed to a dragon's head. He shot out an intense fire blast which the duo narrowly dodged. The artifact burned whoever the user willed. The dragon that Reiner accidentally summoned before was harmless because the ground he stabbed the blade into didn't have a will to burn anyone. Ku used her ice ability to extinguish the fire before it spread uncontrollably. Reiner cast a lightning spell, but Sui blocked it with another relic. It was a comb that had the ability to nullify magic. Ferris and Reiner begun to retreat because it was clear they didn't stand a chance against 3 artifacts. Sui stopped Reiner in his tracks when he activated the gem. It resonated with his alpha stigma and forced it to awaken. Sui disclosed that it could only be stolen in that state. The reason people hated and fear those with the cursed eyes was because of the indiscriminate rampage they went on once they lost control of their power. Reiner was soon overwhelmed by the curse, as his lust to destroy everything manifested. Sui was confident that they would eliminate Reiner and retrieve the crystal in his eye before he went on a rampage. He used the comb to absorb the lightning strikes, but things started to go wrong when Reiner erased the comb with an unknown spell. The effects also started to erase Sui. He screamed like he stood on a Lego block, but he was present-minded enough to use the dragon to bite his arm off and cauterize the wound with its fire. Ku stopped fighting and rushed to her brother's side. The siblings evacuated when they realized that Reiner's alpha stigma wasn't ordinary. Reiner continued his rampage as he got flashbacks of the people he had eliminated in that state and how everyone treated him like a monster. He now saw himself in the same light. On the other hand, his crazy alter ego was loving life and trying hard to blow Ferris from the face of the earth. She took a huge risk and stopped dodging as she tried to call to Reiner. The only reason it worked was because she was a main character. Anyone else would have been blown to bits. Her words gave Reiner the strength to suppress the curse just enough for her to get closer. The alter ego gained control again and gave her that choke. She stayed calm and assured Reiner that he wasn't a monster. Her statements had the right level of sentimental value for him to allow her to close his eyes. She now understood why Reiner had a chapter in his report about his dislike for people dying or him having to end lives. He wanted to create a kingdom where as little death occurred as possible. The bum held on to Ferris as she continued to console him. Some time passed, and Sion got the report on the dragon incident. His reading was interrupted when Elsina, Kalne, and Clough told him to take a break. Noah also joined them. She was now under the protection of Sion after their little rebellion. Clough used this opportunity to get to know the princess a little better. They even had a dinner scheduled that night. Klain reminded Clough that he already had a party planned. Noah pulled him away to hear more about his arrangements. Sion was just happy that Noah was enjoying her stay. Things got serious when Moran came with an update on the northern region. The leader of the Gastark royal family had been gaining power through the conquest of their smaller neighbors. Moran was sure this would become a problem in the future, and advised Sion to deal with the anti-king faction. The best thing would be to unite the kingdom politically before these outside threats came and wiped out their kingdom. After the meeting, he went to intimidate a duke to choose between Sion and those who oppose him. That night, Clough escorted Noah from his party and apologized for their dinner arrangements getting messed up. She made it clear that it wasn't a big deal. The two watched the night sky for a while before he bid her goodnight. Noah entered her posh prison only to find her useless guards lifeless, and the maids captured by some masked men. The thirsty bandits ripped her clothes, causing Cloth to have an Adala Link moment with the princess. He sensed her distress and rushed back to the house. He got livid when he saw the state of the princess, and beat down the vulgar culprits with his powered-up arm. He got injured during the altercation, but they were taken to the hospital when the danger passed. Noah was shaken up. Moran had an emergency meeting with Sion because this incident made it look like he couldn't protect the princess. Another revolt would arise if she was to lose her life under his care. Sion suspected that the attack was ordered by the anti-king faction. Moran suggested he shouldn't act yet, but should instead butter up his enemies while they worked on their mass extermination. Moran already had a plan if that was what Sion wanted. The king told him to leave while he thought on it. Meanwhile, Reiner and Ferris's search for relics had led to the outskirts of the town of Regit. There were rumors that the place was cursed by a devil. The duo knew it was likely an artifact misbehaving. Their investigation halted when they saw a girl getting attacked. They saved her, and she asked for help. The townspeople were going to harm a boy called Arua because he had activated his alpha stigma while protecting the girl from soldiers. The duo knew they had to help. I think this is what we call a side quest. They tracked the punishment location and watched as they brought Arua out. The boy was tied up like a hog that was about to be roasted. The situation got more complicated when they spotted some magic knights. Elsewhere in Roland, Sion caused upheaval among the nobles when he made an announcement that commoners could occupy official posts if they had the talent. He also made Cloth a field marshal, which was the second highest rank in their army. Sion's loyal advisors came to voice their concerns that his reform would annoy the nobles of the anti-king faction. Sion told them about the threat the Gastark country posed. They were currently winning their war against the Stoll Kingdom, which was one of the most powerful countries in the continent. Sion had to purge those who were against him before Gastark came knocking on their doors. The advisors conceded after hearing this news and swore to help him. Moran was happy that the king had chosen his solution, even though he was doing it a different way. The lieutenant had a strategy to aid the king. We cut to Useless Milk, who had returned to the capital to explain her failure. Her supervisor chose to give her another chance to bring their targets in before he considered her expired milk. While that was going on, Reiner and Ferris got closer to try and find any openings. She had to prevent him from rushing when the knights started jumping the boy like it was a street fight. They were trying to trigger the boy's power again. Reiner had seen enough when they threw Arua's deceased mother in front of him. They told him that it was his fault that she met her demise. His battered father was presented next. He assured his son that it was not his doing, and he was not a devil, so he should not despair. The noble present prepared to poke the dad because he had enough of this emotional crap. Reiner and Ferris launched their assault before the blow could land. The lazy mage dashed straight for Arua, but the magic knights intercepted. Reiner revealed himself to also be a bearer of the curse when he copied one of the knight's spells. They made sure that Reiner didn't get close to the boy, so he called out to the kid's dad and told him to get his stupid butt up and save his boy. The dad mustered up the last of his strength and crawled to untie his son, but the noble eliminated the father just as he reached Arua. The boy snapped and activated his alpha stigma. Reiner and Ferris teamed up to defeat the knights just in time. Reiner made his way to the boy and knocked him out before he could rampage. They quickly escaped before reinforcements could arrive. The duo stopped by the river once they got to safety. Reiner cleaned the blood on the lad's face as he wondered why they were burdened with such a power that everyone hated them for. Arua still hadn't gained consciousness when day broke. Reiner wasn't surprised based on what the kid had been through. Ferris managed to hijack a carriage from a noble for them to use. Meanwhile at Roland, the Duke helped gather members of the anti-king faction at Moran's family house. Sion was informed about the meeting, so he sent Cloth to go see what would happen. Moran's father was also opposed to Sion's rule and welcomed his fellow patriots. The doors to the reception room were shut as soon as the meeting started. Moran's adoptive father revealed the plan to team up with the Runa Kingdom to take down Sion, since they were allies of the old king. Moran was given the chance to explain the details of the operation since it was his idea. The lieutenant stepped up and revealed that the meeting was a trap, and he wanted the treacherous nobles to die. The guy was definitely inspired by the Red Wedding. His shadowhounds ravaged everyone in the room, leaving his adoptive father, who was stunned. Moran revealed that he secretly wiped out his adoptive family over the years because of how horrible they were. Moran took great pleasure in finishing off the man who took him in. The Duke was left alive since he was in on the plan. He swore to never betray Moran, but his pledge was cut short when Real took the Duke's head. The guy was hiding in the room the whole time. The lieutenant knew from his appearance that he was from a nation in the south. The fact that he eliminated the Duke after he made his pledge meant that the Duke was working with a foreign power. Rill confirmed this and stated that this part of his mission was a failure. However, his next goal was to take out Sion. He didn't want to waste his energy fighting Moran, but it was unavoidable. Rill activated his relic, which was like Moran's ring, but it summoned beasts made of lightning. Rill had to only rely on the artifact because he didn't want to use magic and expose the kingdom he came from. He decided to use a deadly magic crystal to clear a path for him to escape the room. The flames from the crystal almost engulfed Moran, but Cloth made it just in time to break him out. The fire claimed the whole house, but Cloth and Moran narrowly evacuated the building before it exploded. The lieutenant thanked him for the save, but Cloth stated that he was sent by the king. Meanwhile, Rill infiltrated the throne room to eliminate Sion, but his lightning beasts were eradicated by Lucille. The clan head made it clear to Rill that he didn't stand a chance, and he should inform his colleagues of what they would face if they fought against Roland. The assassin realized this and retreated for now. It was clear to Sion that the war had already begun. Meanwhile, in the Runa nation, Sui and Ku had defeated the king's guards and let the king know that they should ally with their nation because their hostility towards Sion had been exposed. The siblings were agents of the Gastark Empire. The king of Runa agreed to join them, so Ku set their sights on Arua after hearing that he was an alpha stigma bearer. The lad was still sleeping. Reiner wanted them to go to Regit to pick up the girl who set them on this side quest. He thought it would be best to move the kids to a safer place so that they could live in peace, which sounded simple. But with Gastark agents already closing in, and a war quietly cooking in the background, the hope of peace was looking dangerous.